Amen. Perhaps this morning, if there's any, first of all, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If I had not said that, perhaps are there any testimonies this morning or sharings and epiphanies, blessings that anyone wants to share this morning on this Friday, new rain morning? Well, amen. I've been blessed. Yeah. I've been blessed this week in a unique way. This Bishop's retreat has been like none other. Amen. It has been like none other. And it's just, if nothing else, you have to be sensitive to how the Lord is moving, how He's directing, and if you're paying attention, He'll give you a glimpse of what He's about to do. He will. If you're paying attention, and I believe that that's what He's showing us. He's preparing us for the battle at hand. Yes, sir. Because there is a battle at hand. We've taken the charge of family, but it's just been refreshing, reinvigorating, and it's been redirecting even. Yes, sir. I heard Vice Presiding Bishop A.T. say earlier when he first come in, said that we're becoming, I can't like the phrase, he said, well, we become new. Yeah. Come to a new level. I heard you say that. And I said, yeah, that's happening across the board. Yes, please.
Hallelujah. Glory to God. Thank God for my life. I appreciate God. And also I thank God for what the Lord has been doing in my life.
Amen.
I came from Sierra Leone, and I'm under Bishop Raymond Wonders Johnson. I hope some of you know him.
Yes.
We do.
Yes.
I just thank God because it happens like I'm not the one that's supposed to come here. I'm not alone.
Yes, sir.
But I just appreciate God because God made it possible for me to be here.
Glory to God.
It was disappointing for the bishop. He was not able to get his visa.
Yes, sir.
So, by his disappointment, I too was disappointed. Because I was discouraged, not willing to make the attempt again for me to go for the visa. So he encouraged me. He said, oh, you can wait, you can make it. So I thank God, by his encouragement, I went for the visa and they granted me 3 months visa. First of all, I just appreciate all of you here, and Archbishop and his team. Amen. If I'm here today, it happens with all of you. Yes. Because if it had not been him and Bishop, I don't know if I should have been here today. So I just appreciate God for what God has done for me. And also, it is not easy anyway. But God all things are possible. Yes, it is. And I came, this is my first time, as I said. And I'm blessed in this meeting, yes. I've learned a lot. So I thank God for everybody's life. And I pray that this meeting will continue. And,
sir,
yes, it will not stop, I know, and it will establish. It will go as far as our country, not here alone. I don't know if you get me what I'm saying. So that at least those that don't have the opportunity will have it at least one day. At least we hold this conference again in Sierra Leone. And I just thank God again because for the hearts that Archbishop has, all the teachings that are brought here is like he's doing the work of God. You know, I just think about Jesus. He left from heaven his throne, all his comfortable place, and he came on earth to come and save us. So the same thing that Archbishop is doing, leaving his premises, going to Africa, you know, it has not been easy for him, I know that. But he takes the risk. Yeah. Even so, certain things that was happening to him there, which he did not have that experience before. But when he went to Africa, he go through all those constraints. So I just thank God for his life because he has the heart of God to do the work of God. So I just appreciate God. And we also have a meeting that we used to get Destiny Gathering. So we just invite all of you to that. I think you will be here with us. Thank you.
Bless the Lord. Amen.
We've had a few years where we've been able to collaborate, meet. One of the things that is very remarkable to me is the more archbishops we meet, the more I realize we have the best archbishop. And I was just reflecting this morning coming in that I'm so thankful that the discipline and the accuracy and the commitment to Christ, the purity of the gospel has been passed on to us. And I do not discount the treasure that we have in this week. So I just figured I'd say it. Thank you. It's true.
Amen. Another before we get ready to start moving forward. Please make sure to sign the sign-in sheet. Okay. Amen. Please do the sign-in sheet as well as if you backlogged on any evaluations, please let's get those done as well.
We desperately need the sign-in sheet. Desperately need.
Amen. We're going to now, as we enter our business session, FLIF business session, with prayer. We begin with platform management. It's going to be led by Bishop H. Lance, Bishop Rosemary Lance. Are we technically ready? All right. I'm going to call them for this time.
Well, this is important that we listen to because we want to talk a lot about branding and how we expect that no matter where we are, what part of the country we're in, what part of the continent we're in, what part of the world we're in, FLIF should look the same to any and everybody.
Wonderful. Good morning. God bless you.
Good morning.
Thank y'all for coming. As our bishop stated, it's important that your identification is always consistent. And the way I like to talk about it is just like your name. Now I know where you come from, they call you some of everything. Okay? But even in that, when you leave from where you came from, people know you by your name.
Come on, let's go.
And so it's important that you maintain your name, your image, because that's how you're being identified, period. People see you, they make decisions based on what they visually see, even before you say anything. And so that's why there are events that says you have to dress like this, coming to a certain event, because people can identify you as being a part of that event or being on the outside of that event. And so, if it's a business event where you need to have on business attire, you come not having on business attire, where your chances of making impact and making good connections is going to be slim. Okay? So, we want to just put emphasis on what branding is and how you should flow with it. We call in this thing, show your ID. And it's not moving on that. So, I do this way up. Oh, there it is. Just a little slow.
Yeah.
Okay, it's reacting slowly because I've already made some other moves. Let's see here. All right, we're going to try this. If not, we're going to go to the traditional methodology. Okay, show your ID. Can you read that?
Yeah, I can.
Some of it.
I can't see it all.
Richard, they're going to do this on his laptop. We don't need to be struggling. We don't need to struggle with this. You don't have me out. I want to get it right here. I want to get it on there. Close this out. Okay. Show your identity. Reverend.
Show your ID.
No, go back.
Here we go. What is a corporate branding package? Have you ever seen a picture of a product and known what it was even before seeing the actual name of the product? How many times have you purchased a certain item simply because you recognize the logo? Have you ever tried a new product from some business?
Make or break.
Make or break.
Yeah. So brand it. Brand it.
Brand.
Brand it. Okay? And we're probably just trying to establish what branding is. What is a corporate brand? And that's how we want to look at what we're talking about today. I know this is church stuff, and we tend to not see ourselves equal with the corporate community, and we shouldn't on certain levels, but when it comes to image, we should. You should think like they think.
That's right. That's
Because they pay millions of dollars to get certain things in our heads.
That's right.
Okay? Well, if we emulate what they're doing, we don't have to pay the same money.
All right.
And we can possibly get, if not the same return or effect, we can at least get a better response.
Yes.
Or better effect. Okay?
Yes.
So we're kind of emulating some of the things that they're doing. Go ahead to the next one.
Well, the concept of looking at what is happening in the secular is not new with us.
That's right.
Jesus specifically told his disciples, pay attention to this guy here, although he's not one of my disciples. He's shrewd, he's smart enough, and y'all need to learn something about being shrewd and smart. Matter of fact, he said, look, you need to be like both doves and serpents. Right?
Yeah.
So we gotta keep that in mind. So this is not new stuff. We're just coming into the age as a church because we've kind of made taboo things that are not in the church. Well, the reality is that all good things come from above.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Vice Bishop. Okay,
Branding. Branding was once defined as a name, a slogan, a sign, a symbol, or design, or a combination of these elements that identify products or services that a company has to offer. There are certain objectives that a good brand should achieve. A few of these objectives are that your brand should first clearly deliver the message of what your business or product is. Next, confirm your credibility as a business owner. Then emotionally connect your target prospects with your product and or service. Motivate the buyer to buy your product or products. And last, create user loyalty.
you want that user loyalty.
Yes.
That normally equals to dollars and cents.
Yes.
Okay? The more somebody uses something that you have, the more money you make. So you can associate branding with dollars. Alright? We're going to keep it real simple.
Yes.
You can associate branding. Why do we brand? Because we want people to be familiar with whatever it is we're doing. Why?
Right.
So they can become a participant in whatever. Just take the church for
That's
example.
right.
Greater Calvary has a brand.
Right.
All right?
That's right.
And so that brand is trying to connect with people who feel like Greater Calvary without ever hearing Archbishop. Okay?
That's true.
People ride down the street. They look at this physical facility and they make the decision. A lot of them ride by and say, oh, that's a black church. So they don't, that's not, I don't want to be connected with that brand. It's a black church. But then you have some that ride down, oh, that's a black church. Yeah, I want to be connected with that. And then they come in, and the process doesn't stop once they walk through the door.
That's right.
Okay? Now there's a greater opportunity to build on the brand. When they walk through the door, whoever they communicate with at that door, all right, will either affect them in a positive way or a negative way. But it's all branded. At the end of the day, if you got a wonderful person on the door, guess what? Your brand gonna look good to them. That's the way it works. There's a lot of folk that come through that door. At the end of service, they made up their mind, I ain't never going back to that church again.
That's right now.
Simply because they had a bad experience
At the door.
with somebody who should have been representing the brand.
Yes, make it plain. Make it
But
plain.
church folk don't think like that.
That's right.
They just, if I got a bad day, somebody else gonna feel it too. They don't think about the overall brand.
Right.
What's being done here. You can't get a more potent word coming out of this pulpit. Nowhere in this city.
Amen.
Nowhere.
That's right. That's right.
But if the experience is not good here,
That's right.
the people who came looking for this will never get it. Because if their experience is bad right here, when they sit down, they're still stuck here.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter what the word is, they're going to miss that.
That's right.
So it's very important that we maintain our brand. Now, if that's the brand of Greater Calvary, then just know the results that you're going to get are the ones that you're getting, and it's not going to change. Okay? Yeah, I don't have mean folks on the door.
Amen.
They might be available, but they ain't ready.
All right now. All right now.
Don't have them on the door. I don't have mean folks. Y'all experience family like folks.
Amen.
You experience them, that's done on purpose.
That's right.
That was intentional.
I got one or two little snakes somewhere, but you ain't gonna never experience them.
Amen.
Oh my goodness.
Never.
Oh my goodness.
Never.
Oh my goodness.
You're just gonna experience the cream of the crop.
That's right.
Because we got a brand.
That's right. it comes to marketing. Branding is not only about getting your target market to select you over the competition, but about getting your prospects to see you as the sole provider of a solution to their problem or need, and to keep them coming back for more.
You want them to come, keep coming.
Yes, you do.
Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. Don't go nowhere. We got what you need. That's what everybody's trying to do.
That's right.
All right? You know, who is that? How you know that name?
That's Brand.
That's Brandon.
That's right.
That's Brandon. Watch this. Now, Nike just made some big moves. They were strategically calculated. They knew when they first made the announcement, some of their stuff was going to do this. But they didn't back up.
That's right.
And guess what? Their stuff went through the roof like that.
Yep. That's right.
That was a branding, strategic move.
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
People start buying a whole bunch of Nike stuff. Yeah, people buying Nike stuff. They ain't never had Nike stuff.
That's right.
But it was a strategy.
Yes.
The first thing they had, oh, Nike, maybe they made a mistake. They shouldn't have done that. Now, Nike don't care nothing about Cabernet.
Come on now.
But they understand the brand.
Yes.
How can we make more money? Let's just cut to the
No,
chase.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Without brand.
Right.
That's it.
Free advertising.
That's it.
How can we do that? Tell you what, we're going to support Cabernet. Cabernet was already part of Nike anyway, so it wasn't, it wasn't no big deal. They just put him on the front cover.
Yes.
They said, we support you.
Yes.
Yep.
And so all the haters, they start burning up their stuff. You saw it on the news.
Yes.
What you think it did for the folks who love Nike? I know in Atlanta, man, they would line up at the athletic stores.
Yep.
Buying all kind of Nike stuff, giving it away.
That's right.
It's crazy. But that's one of those strategic moves as it relates to branding. Okay? Let's see what we got next. I don't even know. All right, good. We're here.
All right, then you take it.
FLIF logo. Let's look at that for a minute. All right? Elements that shape the image.
Bless.
Salvation, education, liberation.
Yes.
All right? That's a solid brand
Yes.
by itself. The family as a priority. The Word of God presence.
Yes. Yes.
People of color presence. Now watch this. When Archbishop asked me to create this image, this is what he shared with me.
The words.
He shared the words.
Yes.
This is what he shared with me. All right? Let me see what I got there. We're going to come back to that logo. This was the first image for FLIF. But it was Family Life Bible Church International. All right? This was the very first image. And if you look at the image, you can see that we tried to encapsulate his original idea in the image. Okay?
Yes.
Now, when we went back and did a redesign on this image and changed the name, we had a conversation. See that word Holy Bible in the back?
Yes.
He had enough presence to say, you know what, we really don't have to say it. And he was right. Click that, click it. Let's see, I can get close up on this. But anyway, you're familiar with the logo. Yeah. We have the, one more. Okay. We have we have all these elements, salvation, education, liberation is there, which is from the original concept of his overall vision. vision.
Yes.
All right? When I was creating this, I was thinking about his vision.
Yes.
All right? And so with that, we came up with graphic images that will depict these particular tenets in the vision. You see the family, right?
Yes.
The family is there. The color scheme represents our people. All right? It's there. And of course, you see that little circle going around? That's like the Holy Spirit. That was my thoughts as it relates to the Holy Spirit being surrounding this whole idea of the Family Life International Fellowship. Go ahead and play that.
It also underlines the word,
Yes.
because the Spirit is the Spirit of truth.
Absolutely. All right, these are some collateral things. It's just a t-shirt deal. We never did produce this, okay, because this event never happened, but this was going to be the t-shirt for it. Just letting y'all in the back office a little bit.
Yeah.
Y'all don't get a chance to see a lot of image that we create, you know, Bishop and I crew. Go ahead and click it. This is the one you have today.
Yes.
And if you don't have your t-shirt, you got to get it today, and it's $20. Well, it might be $25 today, but you got to get it, all right? Go ahead and click it. All right? I'm just showing you collateral stuff that was birthed, and I'm going to bring all that together in a few minutes. Click it again. Sometimes we do the calendar. Some of you have had the calendar in past years. Okay, we do the calendar. But again, we keep the whole branding concept. Here's the logo. It has to be part of this. I could have screened out in the back. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, it's screened out in the back, but it's right here. And then it gives you this information with saying that this is the Family Life International Fellowship right here. And then you get the calendar. Click it again. This is a marketing piece that was done for the Milwaukee event back in 2015. You know, what I did, I didn't have much time to put this together, so I just grabbed stuff that I saw. Okay? We got tons of collateral pieces that we've done. But this is a flyer, the marketing flyer for that particular event. And I'm going to ask you a question in a few minutes, so I need you to pay attention about some of the imagery that you see in some of these collateral things. Okay, and here we are. It's in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah.
Sir.
You see?
Yeah.
Same logo.
It's the same image.
Right.
So anybody that's looking for a Family Life International Fellowship, and they're familiar with this image,
Right.
they know, before they read all the information, they know that this is a FLIF event. And that's important.
Yes.
All right? Go ahead and click it. Another event that didn't happen, this actually is the t-shirt. This is going to be the t-shirt design.
Okay.
Click it again. This is the marketing piece that we were going to do in Atlanta. All right? And again, you see the brand there, stamped on there.
Yes.
And regardless of whatever else you see, you know it's an FLIF event. It's still the same. Click it. Here we have, this is the one at the top, is the marketing piece for Preparing Generation of Fathers that we did recently in Atlanta. I don't know if y'all know Archbishop was there. Okay. That was the marketing flyer right there. And it pretty much looked like this one that we did from here. Because it really is the same event. Okay, it was just in different places. The International Fellowship event. All right, and of course, this is the one that we did for this particular event. And again,
we've gotten many inquiries and hits on this logo because of the message just in the picture alone.
Yeah.
That's a very serious picture, and I think that we probably need to trademark that because there's a message there.
Yes, it is.
I thank God that He inspired. And I probably thank God for the reality that this tells exactly what we're trying to do.
yeah, well, when I go ahead.
I'll just throw in just how it captured my 16-year-old son looked at it and caught himself in the picture.
Wow.
Wow.
So it catches everybody.
Yeah.
He looked at it and he caught himself in the shot.
Yeah.
Then when we ask the next question, he says, well, what is all that mean?
Yeah.
And he saw himself in the picture.
Yeah.
Well, you know that you want imagery to take you on a journey.
Yeah.
You do. We don't always achieve that, but there's a psyche behind creativity. And so the guy who actually come up with the idea is the guy who get paid the most money. He's not the guy who executed. He's just the guy who had a napkin at lunch and he scribbled some stuff down and he gave it to a guy who can bring it to life like this.
Yeah.
And he was gone by his business. But the idea is we're always trying to take you on a journey when it comes to design and imagery. And that's what corporate America is trying to do. They want you to get on board and they don't never want you to get off. And that's why people get fighting mad over brands.
Yes.
Because a company was able to take them on a journey that they like.
Yes.
And now, yeah. So they identify with it and they don't want to trade. I'm satisfied. You know, Nike, Nike, that's my brand. Armor, that's my brand.
Right.
You see? So that's what corporations do. They just pay a lot of money to get you on board. And they continue to pay money to keep you on board. And this is the challenge. The church got to start thinking the same way. The church has to, I changed my focus, client-based focus, over 15 years ago. I started saying, you know what? I'm going to do work for the church. And my reasons were, I knew so many churches that didn't have budgets, and I wanted to help them. I didn't think about it. I didn't think I would go broke, but I did, trying to do that. But I stayed with the ministry aspect of the whole thing. You see what I'm saying? Well, you didn't tell me.
That's right.
But because churches don't understand budgets. Right. They don't. And they don't know where to allocate their dollars. They think if we just open the doors and whatever, have a little music, we got a church. But there's a lot that goes into creating something that's going to represent God. Let me say it that way.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's on that budget piece. The company, FLIF company, is worth $500 million. The duck itself is worth $500 billion.
They created that image.
Right.
You know, it's the same way with the cow with Chick-fil-A.
That's right. Same way.
The advertising firm who created that image. That's why Chick-fil-A, they still use it today. They have not abandoned it. They're not going to abandon it because it was $1 million concept. Using a cow.
Right.
We're not into the cow.
Okay? So it doesn't matter what you use, it's how you present it that matters the most.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? how you present what you use that makes the difference. So it's good that you love the Lord and you having Bible study and you doing evangelism and all that's good. You're supposed to do all that. But at some point, you got to think about your image. And you got to bite your lip and allocate some money in that area so that your image can come up from here to at least here. Okay? Your signage need to look good. Your program need to look good. See, the church mindset, well, we just do the best we can. No. We serve an excellent God. Oh. He never expects us to just do the best we can. He wants us to operate in excellence. Contrary to what we think. We can't think for God.
That's right.
We can't. Okay? So, He demands excellence. Whatever we do under His banner ought to be done in excellence. That's why we tap into gifts and talents in the church community, so that we could have excellence. You see? That's the way it works. So, for an example, you may not have a budget where you can hire graphic folks and do all that. Well, find somebody within your fellowship or in your church that have those skills and tap into them. I'm not saying try to get everything for free. You might have to give them a little something.
All right.
You understand what I'm saying? But don't have the mindset that, oh, they ought to just give me that because it's part of their service to the ministry. Don't have that attitude. That's a churchy mindset. And that's your mindset. That's not God's. Okay? Next. This piece right here, and I think we're gonna reconstitute this because this is a powerful piece actually. You know, it kind of just say something in a nutshell, and I think we were able to capture that at least to some degree, and I think it's something we can continue to use. We just need to update this photograph.
Right.
In the bottom. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we need to rake the yard. I do agree. Rake it. Go ahead. All right. Let's see. Click that again. Let's see what happens. Go back. All right. I don't have a blow up on this one. No, you just post it. You've seen some of this imagery. This is a marketing piece that we did, trying to get people to go ahead and register for one of the annual convocations. And so we kind of sent that out. I don't know if y'all remember that. We sent that out saying, hey, time is ticking, go ahead and register. That's pretty much what's the, but the bottom line is, you see that right there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. FLIF event. And then over here we have the FLIF custom design for pins.
Yeah.
And I think we produced at least 2 or 3 of those. Plus you bring guests. I'm going to get to that one in a minute. But we produced those pins. Okay? But those were some of the designs that we did. I don't know if we produced all of those, but I know we did some. Okay, click it. Click it again. Oh, there it is. All right. So you can see it better.
Yeah.
Again, just trying to encourage people to go ahead and register. Something that we probably need to do every time we do an event. So there the pins are again. All right, now I want to close out with our collateral logo and collateral and stuff, Family Life Missionary Baptist Church, because I do the same thing that I do for the fellowship, I do for our church too. All right? Click that. I missed something somewhere. Go back. Go back. Go back. Go back. Go back. Keep going. 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 Yeah, I missed all. Go back. Go back. I don't know what happened. Go back. Go back. All right. Go back again. Yeah, that's you. I want to talk about it. Go back. Go that way. Go that way. Again. All right. There's the logo. What y'all don't know is that I went back and I made the type a little bit bolder. It's all right to use it the way you got it now, but I just wanted this to be a little bit stronger right here, and that's what I did. Okay, go ahead, click it.
Go back.
No, forward. FLIF identity package. Identity package normally consists of your logo, your letterhead, your envelope, your business card, and now your website. Okay? So, you're not going to see all that here, but you're going to see a couple of things that I want to point out. Click it. This is our first letterhead. The way it used to look, that was the old logo. Y'all remember that? Alright, click it. This is the one we're using now. Alright? Can't blow it up so you can read the stuff, but this is the one we use now. Click it. This is the one Archbishop should be using. So we got to make sure that he have that in a way that he can use it. And what we're going to do is create this in a Word document so that you can just type on it. Okay? There's a way to do that, and that's what we need to do. Go ahead and click it. This is one of his old business cards. I know he needs some new ones now. We're going to make that happen. But again, it's the same imagery, same type as the letterhead, okay? And the logo. This, you notice this green look a little different.
Yeah.
It's not a different green. It's just how I did not change this from process coloring when I launched it digitally, and so it looks like that, but it's still the same green. Okay? As a matter of fact, all these colors are PMS colors, so they can always be matched. If he was in Africa and he wanted somebody to reproduce our logo, all he would need is the PMS colors for these colors. And whoever the printer is, they will be able to dial it in and give him the same color scheme. Coke red is Coke red. I don't care if you in yeah, it don't matter. Coke red is Coke red. Okay? And that red is 032. Made a little money on Coke. Alright, go ahead and click that. go through. Yeah. I'm trying to get to the other logos now.
I think I was back. Remember?
Okay, go back. I'm sorry, y'all. My presentation person who actually put my stuff together. That's good. Go back. Go back. Right there. our approach to it was done in a way that it would work for the seal. Click it. All right? Bishop Wright started his church. Family Life Church. All we did is made an adjustment in the logo. It's the same vision.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's no different. Click it. Click it again. Click it. I missed some stuff, but go ahead. Keep clicking. Alright. Time running out. Keep clicking when we get to the end. The Family Life Missionary Baptist is where I'm going. And close this out. Yeah, you're doing good. You're doing great. All right, right here.
Yeah.
This was the original logo for our church. Family Life Missionary Baptist Church. I scripted it out on a piece of paper, and then I did it like that. Click it. That's how we used to use it. We updated the logo, and so you know, we plan to update FLIF logo. We're going to bring it into a three-dimensional feel like this. Because I think that's where we are and that's where we're headed. Click it. We use it like this sometimes when it's on a busy background. We just put a white thing around it and we use it like that sometimes. Click it. This is what the business card looked like. I don't think I got letterhead on here, but click it. Let's see where it goes. This is the landing page for our website. And I'm going to throw a little plug in. If y'all haven't caught our radio program, check us out. Bishop and his bride. Every Sunday from 6 to 9. Okay? On MIXX106radio.com. All right? Click it. That's our letterhead right there. If you never gotten a letter from us, you wouldn't know this. This is the one we're using right now. We got our new theme. Only thing we do is change the theme every year. We've been having the same letterhead for a lot of years. So we got our 2019 theme up here. And we send folks letters on this letterhead. Click it. We work the image. Thank y'all. Amen. We thank Bishop A.T. and Bishop Rosemary for laying the foundation. How is it accessible to any of the fellowship churches? How do we do that? They just need to contact us. They want to get involved with that. Just contact us, and then we're going to take them through. Okay. So does it also mean we should cease and desist any bootlegging? Well, definitely, you don't need to use this logo just because it's a brand. If you use Coke stuff without getting it okay from them, they're not going to like that. And part of the reason is because they spend millions of dollars to create the brand. And the other part is, if you're going to use that stuff, and we got some specs on FLIF stuff too. There's certain ways you can use it. You know, depending on what the digital substrate is or the physical substrate there are certain ways it can be used. And the reason for that is because we always want the logo to be translated and received a certain way. Same way we call it. Like I said, if you start thinking about corporate America when you're doing anything based on what you're doing, it's going to be 100 times better than what you would have done. Because they've already paid for the research and everything. And all you got to do is just kind of follow what they do. Let me tell you one of the things I hate. I hate when folks use our stuff and they use the Word program, and sometimes when you bring stuff over in Word, it's all squeezed. And so it's very difficult to get it back to its natural visual perspective. You know, when you bring a picture over in the document and it's real skinny and you got to pull it out and do all that. I think I blame Word. I blame them because they don't care nothing about stuff like that. They just want you to be able, whatever you're thinking, they want you to be able to do it. So they didn't create the platform. They didn't put enough in it so that when you think about what it is you want to do and you do it, it comes across the right way. So one of the things that just gets up under my skin is when I see that kind of stuff happen. And people think that they've done a great thing and they got the image all jacked up. And they just happy because they were able to get it in the document. That's not good. That's going to hurt the brand. And trust me, whether folks tell you or not, they looking at that and they're measuring you by what you've done. So you got to be very careful when you're touching something that don't belong to you. That you know the song, you do somebody else's song, at least do it as good as them. Otherwise, don't sing it. Now the goal is to do it better than them. But if you can't do it better than them, at least do it. Okay, I'm done.
The team. Next up we have our action plan review. Review 2017, analyze 2018, plan 2019. We're wrapping. And we're going to focus on it this way. And that is how the conference plan should look. Actually, kind of piggybacking on that same branding model of the typical conference layout, be it a regional layout, area, fellowship, should all look a certain way. So I'm going to use a model of our Family Life International Fellowship Conference in Sierra Leone to kind of walk through what that model should look like across the board. So we have the Family Life International Fellowship Conference of Sierra Leone is led by Conference Presiding Bishop, the Right Reverend Raymond Wonders Johnson. Working with him is Sierra Leone Conference Leadership Council, that's a CLC, made up of his area fellowship overseers. Sierra Leone Conference Presiding Bishop Raymond Wonders Johnson serves under the leadership and the direction of and is accountable to Archbishop Dr. Sterling Lands II, International Presiding Bishop of the Family Life International Fellowship. The Sierra Leone Conference is subdivided into area fellowships. So each area fellowship is led by an area fellowship overseer. The Family Life International Fellowship Area Fellowship overseers serve under the leadership and direction of and is accountable to the FLIF Conference Presiding Bishop. The FLIF Area Fellowship is composed of local churches referred to as Area Fellowship Churches or AFCs. Each AFC is led by a pastor selected by its congregation. The FLIF Area Church pastor is accountable to the local church membership where he or she serves as the pastor. The FLIF area church pastors serve under the oversight and covering of the FLIF area fellowship overseer. The FLIF area fellowship is the platform where the health, interests, needs, and welfare of the family as a kingdom priority are addressed. The FLIF area fellowship is comprised of 7 to 25 local churches, all committed to the Family Life International Fellowship mission. Say mission. Mission. An FLIF area fellowship may be subdivided into sub-area fellowships comprising of 3 to 9 area churches led by overseers appointed by the FLIF area fellowship overseer as required. The area fellowship overseers provides some measure of oversight and accountability for the FLIF area church pastor and direction in the Family Life International Fellowship matters. The area fellowship overseer is a pastor to the FLIF area church pastors within the specific area fellowship and may ordain clergy, install pastors elected by the area fellowship church, and confirm the election of a pastor by the AFC. The area fellowship overseer provides for the unity of the FLIF area fellowship. Thus, the area fellowship overseer is available to preach the word of God and to celebrate the ordinances. The area fellowship overseer is responsible for training or facilitating the training of area fellowship church pastors in keeping with the Family Life International Fellowship vision, mission, and strategic objectives. The area fellowship overseer is called to exercise a threefold ministry within the FLIF area fellowship. That's to teach, govern, and sanctify. The Sierra Leone Conference presiding bishop is the general overseer of the Sierra Leone Family Life International Fellowship Conference. The Sierra Leone Conference presiding bishop is appointed by the Family Life International Fellowship International presiding bishop. The Sierra Leone Conference presiding bishop presides at all FLIF Sierra Leone Conference assemblies and meetings and makes a quarterly report of the state and status of the conference to the international presiding bishop. The Sierra Leone Conference presiding bishop appoints FLIF overseers and bishops to serve within the FLIF Sierra Leone Conference area. The Sierra Leone Conference presiding bishop leads the FLIF Sierra Leone Conference and is responsible for the growth, the training, the impartation of spiritual gifts, and the temporal welfare of the Family Life International Fellowship Sierra Leone Family Life International Fellowship Conference. The Sierra Leone Conference presiding bishop office demands excellence and respect from all, and it is required that bishops and overseers both give and teach deference for this office. The episcopal norms of protocol shall be observed, and no bishop of the fellowship shall usurp the office of the international presiding bishop, regional presiding bishop, conference presiding bishop, or area presiding bishop, either by direct or indirect, active or passive, covert or subvert, or pretension in dress, or by surreptitious behavior in administration. Keep up. To do so shall be deemed a gross violation of protocol, manners, and discipline, and shall be addressed accordingly. So this gives you the layout and the manner of operation for the region, the area fellowship conference. Yes, sir.
Just as a note, we do plan to diagrammatically present this so that we will have diagrams that will then speak to what we consider in the text. We haven't gotten that point yet. So, I mean, we can get that same conference is subject to the location of the conference. Therefore, the name of the conference presiding bishop is subject to that. So just know that we were grammatically presented. This is just typical of what it would sound like and look like if you could visualize the text. So we will present it. Once we get it sketched out, we'll probably send it to we'll send it to Bishop A.T. and then he will in turn make it speak for us.
Amen. All right. Did we shoot this out, this form? Or?
Yeah, that's out. That's out. Each of you should have received an email from me with the 2019 plan. That is an attachment to the plan.
Amen. Any other questions or thoughts? Amen. Well, as I say, you will get this visually going forward, but it gives you much to think about in terms of how we're planning to press forward in the future. This future is even to 2019. We're now up to our budget review 2017, 2018, analyzed and planned 2019 by none other than Dr. Mary Thomas, Director of Operations.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is a beautiful morning.
It is indeed.
And it's a beautiful morning for us to wrap. We're going to be reviewing our yesterday, and these handouts are coming out. We're going to start to review 2017 from January to December. And then we're going to follow that with looking at our year-to-date from January the 1st of 18 to today. And then we're going to, so we're going to be analyzing today from that perspective and prepare for tomorrow with a forecast for 2019. So I will just pause just a second till you get the 2017 to start out. And I'll be highlighting and, of course, ask for any questions or clarifications as we walk through it together. So, as we reviewed yesterday, we used Okay, so let's look at, we use a QuickBooks system for this profit and loss, January 1st through December the 31st of 2017. And it's broken down into income, and the first section will give you the contributions of our church membership contributions on somewhat regular basis. And you will see that 4 churches contributed during the 2017 year, and that contribution was $3,387.72. Then we had general income that included just whatever came in as general. We had $1, and donations. And in 2017, annual convocation, we had registration costs. It's broken down into clergy, non-clergy, and church registrations. And then, so we have a $3,000 contribution on registration for the annual convocation. The Bishop's Retreat is broken down into registration, offering, contributions, t-shirts, and refunds from outside source. We also had in the Bishop's Retreat the special project restriction where we had the mission support that year. We also have the Covenant Circle Plan, and it's broken into the family and friend circle members, as well as the church ministry or individual contributions, and then other income there. So it brought our income for 2017 at $19,214.90. Then we move to our expense. We have operations expenses, which includes online processing fees. We are participating in PayPal and online, and then there are processing fees that are incurred with that. The convocation, special projects and pledges, those are broken down so you can see where those online processing fees were generated from. We also have administration in that we have a banking account, and it has broken down into banking, and there's an orientation visit, and then there is administration that is occurred with the Bishop Retreat. And then we walk down to the Bishop's Retreat, breaking down into those different areas, and the expenses was $14,080.90. Annual convocation, our PayPal and registration refunds, facility usage, transportation, in that we covered guest travel for Sierra Leone delegate and Liberia delegate. Our annual convocation expenses was $3,909.40. And then there was the under annual convocation, the office of presiding bishop and the youth and young adult conference here. So you can see at the end of 2017, our expenses incurred were $22,366.44, bringing us a net income of minus $3,151.54.
Well, Mr. Executive, since we are going to run into a time crunch very shortly, Isaac has to leave and get to the airport, and I do not want to miss something. Please stay with the major headings.
Okay.
And then this is just too much detail for the second meeting. And we don't ever need this type of detail. If someone wants these type of questions, we've got to respect the fact that we're dealing with news, and they are important in this area. Secondly, we were given a document that says Bishop Leadership Retreat Registration Report, but this is an inaccurate document because it does not show that some people were on scholarship and others were given a portion and had already agreed to pay more. So it looks like one thing, but it's not. So please disregard the Bishop Leadership Retreat Registration Report. If you put it on the edge of the table, someone will visit it and get it. And when you do 2018, please use the major headings, and we're not going to be impressive with copious amounts of detail unless there's a question.
Yes, sir. So that single document, you put it at Sister Addison will come around now and pick those up from you. That single page, Yolanda. As we move into looking at January 1st of this year to now, the income brackets, you can read there all the way to our income actually comes right now today at $10,890.95. Then we are able to look at our expenses. That starts at the end, 3/4 of the way on page 1. And you walk through that, our business expenses, and then operations, all the way up to our current day-to-day with the Bishop's Retreat. Other questions? Okay. The next document is the 2019 budget forecast based on what we have currently are and the year before. And you can see what we forecast in income. Going to page 2, what we forecast in expenses. Are there questions or comments? Again, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for that. Now we're at our cooperative giving plan. All member financial participation and supporting the vision led by given by Evangelist Sylvia Addison.
Now, please pay particular attention to her report, because this is the mechanism by which we will use to fund FLIF. So what she's getting ready to say is perhaps one of the most important items for us as we look to work with you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just as it relates to the vision, our Archbishop has just stated that. I just kind of reiterate, we envision our FLIF leadership and members financially supporting the work of Family Life International Fellowship. Without your support, Family Life Fellowship would not be the global beacon for the family that we have become. As you can read with me or follow along with me, each church has been asked to give a monthly contribution. Each pastor has been asked to give a contribution, and each bishop. As partners, as we work together in this labor of love to minister to the family as a kingdom priority through the local church international. It is not too late to give. The year is not over. If we go to the second page, we have, it shows a report of our bishops that have given thus far, our overseers that have given thus far, and our church contributions thus far. So this is November 8th, we still have a few days before December. If you'd like to give today, let's see Bishop Chris in here, make sure I get it and log it in. Are there any questions for me as it relates to the report that's in front of you? Amen.
Amen. We have moved forward to our expansion. We're going to bring forward Pastor Joseph Sanko, who will be bringing FLIF report from Sierra Leone, and have him come in his life.
thank God for the leader that God gives to us, Bishop Raymond Mendes Johnson. And I also thank God the leader that is connected with Archbishop Stanley Lance and his team. What I understand is that whenever God wants to lift you up, He connects you with the right people. Bishop Raymond Mendes Johnson is the right leader for our ministry. He's the right leader for Family Life International Fellowship in Sierra Leone. And he brought a topic, a theme for us for this year, investment for expansion. And when he brought it out, he used to call us for meetings, and we work on it. What we put, we log ahead, we make sure that we work on the team that he brought with us, and we invest in agriculture. The leadership of the fellowship of the Family Life International Fellowship Sierra Leone has undertaken a lot of agricultural activities to boost up the stability of the fellowship nationwide. The fellowship has used the agricultural facilities to reach the churches in the remote parts of the country and finally established the fellowship with the local churches in the east. This agricultural facility has helped the churches to be self-reliant and independent. The fellowship placed and where the fellowship has established the agricultural facilities. In Kenema District, the Family Life International Fellowship has established family activities of yam in Kenema District. Kenema District is located in the eastern part of Sierra Leone, and which its inhabitants are well engaged in farming activities. The fellowship has used this medium to attract the mind of people in the part of the vineyard. The yam plantation for this year gave a good output. The great output which yield this year can also support other churches to engage in the same farming activities. We also invest in Romani village. That's my home village I come from. Romani village is located at the northern part of Sierra Leone, in a district called Potloko District. This is a village that is well dominated by Muslims, and the fellowship has used these farming activities to strengthen and widen the capacity of the local churches in the part of the vineyard. The fellowship has engaged in the farming of rice plantation. The output of the rice plantation this year is very good, and it can support the next farming year. We also invested in Kailaon District. Kailaon District is located at the eastern province of Sierra Leone. Kailaon District is a farming domination area. The people in this part of the country are widely engaged in the farming of rice. The fellowship has also engaged in the farming of rice plantation in Kailaon District, which has also served in the development of the fellowship and the local churches involved. We also, talking about the college now, Bible College, the Family Life International Fellowship, Sierra Leone for the past years has developed the mindset of Christian through this Bible Institute. It has raised over 500 people in the past years, and the Institute of courses from certificates to degree level. I'm one of the products from Family Life Bible Institute.
Awesome.
It has also have branches nationwide to empower the local churches and widen the scope of the fellowship. It has branches in the following places. We have Kisi area, we have Waterloo East, we have Waterloo West, we have Tembetown, we have Kenema, we have Putloko, we have Bumbuna. We also invested in a way of making money by making bakery. I know that's bakery. The fellowship has established a bread bakery facility. This baking facility has also helped the local churches who are operating under the fellowship. It has also been a great medium of making the fellowship to be widely known. We have the area fellowship. The Family Life International Fellowship Sierra Leone has been developed into various chapters which has aided the widely spread of the fellowship nationwide. Every district in our country has a number of chapters, areas fellowship, with its coordinators. These areas fellowship are greatly increased the participation of churches. We have national fellowship. The national fellowship is made up of the areas fellowship. The national fellowship, which has been one of the most outstanding fellowship in the country, has made an immense participation in national development. The fellowship has educated, liberates, and saves the lives of the lost. The National Fellowship has established Bible learning facilities, involvement in agriculture, school to aid the poor and the needy children, bread bakery facility, which has been a blessing to provide job for the jobless. We have gained a national recognition through activities. The college, despite the various departments which has been done, the fellowship has been used some challenges which has been serving as hindrance towards its progress. Our resources are limited for the communities which we serve. For now, we can only serve few people and few communities. This has led to a great demand for our fellowship in many communities, but we can't reach them due to our limited resources. If these great challenges is being settled, it will lead to a great expansion of the fellowship nationwide. I have some photos here that we put for the agricultural, we do agricultural places. This is the photos that you can see. This is the yams plantation that they are doing, and this is the bakery areas. Dr. Stalin Lance International School of Excellence, that's the report from the school. School reports on the 2018 to 2019 academic year. To start with the performance in the community, where the school is situated, has been a tremendous testimony and attraction to the community and even beyond. Though we have been losing teachers due to salaries reasons and certain transportation, certain of teachers, constraints of teachers, we want to thank God Almighty for the past academic year, which some pupils graduate and were promoted to other schools with flying colors of grades. They sat to the public exam the National Primary School Examination, NPSC, the school administration is trying very hard to work and recognize of the government towards the school, which all the required documentation had been surrendered to them, and we are waiting on their approval. The duty is being carried on for the government to be aware of the school operation in the community. Our school activities has been certain creating awareness for the movement of the school to increase such as sports, Thanksgiving and prize giving and so on, which one time Archbishop and our First Lady met, and that particular occasion we have sports which they met with that, which we need the support for the community of the school's activities. The past years, our level of earning income was equal to the expenditure of the income that was raised by the school. The school is in need of funds for proper running and meeting the demand of the less privileged and the orphans, of them to have quality education, to consider the salary of the teachers as a point of motivation and encouragement for them to pass on the information or ideas well to the children. This particular year of school, more teachers have been added to the school, which are new teachers at about 30, which we may want to stabilize for proper teaching standing in the school. However, we have about 18 intake of pupils added to the school in this specific academic year 2018 to 2019. The sum total of people in the school is 94, which much attention is needed to be paid to. Furthermore, in the past years, we have been organized feeding projects, supplying of school materials like pencil, pens, books, shoes, and bags. All has been decreased due to lack of much funds and support from other helping hands that we are coming in for support. The last appointment is the school has been able to move nursery 1, 3, and class 1 to 6. The higher class, which is class 6, now starts the national exams, and we are not able to sit in our school because the school has not got code for the people for the public exams. The school that our people went to sit the public exams came third in the whole country. We are grateful for the performance of the pupils and dedicated teachers presently working together to achieve our targets. Thank you. And I think this financial business, I don't know if it's necessary for me to read it out.
Plus we got it on here, and I want to send it to us.
All right. Thank you.
And his report is on the Google Classroom, so you can go back through it and see the pictures. And at this time, I'll bring forth our Archbishop, presiding Archbishop, for our charge and forward.
let me first say thank you for all that we have been through and that we're going through now and the successes that we've heard. I got a couple of things I want to share before I get into the forward progress. One is that the reports this morning have been excellent. They've been excellent. And I thank God for each of you and for all that you've said. I thank God for the discussion about the school and the Bible college in Ghana. Brother Isaac, who has to leave in about 5 or 10 minutes to go and get a flight out, is representing Ghana here. And as an addendum, we need to know that we had Bishop John Hammond, James Hammond, in Ghana, and he is one of our bishops, but he's actually committed to an evangelistic outreach program and is doing a great job. He's also established a Bible college that is also doing a great job. But it has left us without a conference leader in Ghana. We have some good people in Ghana. Bishop Andolph is there. We have Apostle Emmanuel is there, and Apostle Gabriel is there. But we do not have a bishop who is a conference bishop in Ghana. So one of our focus, this by God's grace in 2019, is to establish a conference leader in Ghana who will have Family Life International Fellowship as their first priority. All these other people are very good people, and they're very supportive of what we do, but it is not their first priority, and I understand that. I do a lot of other things, but they're not my first priorities. So we can't get upset because someone wants to help you, but it's not their first priority. So, but we will be looking to establish an individual or a group of individuals who will make it their first priority in the country of Ghana. Ghana is where we actually started and was our first plans. So it's not that we don't know people there, we do. We just have not found the right person to lead from a conference perspective as their first priority. I've sent to each of you already the draft for the 2019 plan. It is indeed a draft. It is a first draft. But I want to read to you what the email says so that we're clear and it's in our system. It starts off by saying, greetings. We've experienced one of the greatest FLIF Bishops leadership retreats ever this week, 06 through 09 November. We realize that many of our strongest leaders, such as Bishop Swin in Liberia, Bishop Wonders Johnson in Sierra Leone, Bishop Mbimbo in Nigeria, Bishop Johns in Pakistan, and then there are others. We could have dealt with Bishop Andolph and Bishop John and others, were not able to attend because they were denied travel visas to the U.S. So we will work on that issue with our U.S. legislature over the next year. Our cups are running over with inspiration, with information, with education. And we're ready now we're poised to move forward with new enthusiasm for 2019. We are committed to finding committed individuals. We are committed to finding committed individuals. We are committed to finding committed individuals that will make family their priority and that will commit to the FLIF vision, mission, and strategic objectives as theirs. And also who will be willing to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Now that's an important item as we discussed during one of our sessions, because it's very easy to get caught up on trying to make your ends meet. You know, you got more bills than you have check. You have need for employment and you just throw up your hand, you don't know what you're going to do. That's because we don't really trust God the way we say we do. See, it doesn't make us bad. It just means that when you get tested, you find out what you're really made of. And so, when in that case, the individuals start to abandon their commitment because their commitment was surface deep. They're not bad people. It's just that that's the way of mankind. The flesh is based on that type of behavior. So we're committed to finding individuals who can make this a priority because family is a kingdom priority. Now, of course, if you look at the email, that means that we will have to remove some individuals from positions that produce no fruit. It's not that we want to do it, it's just that we have to do it. We got to move those individuals from the positions that produce no fruit, and then we have to decommission some who want the title but not the toil. If you're going to deal with the title, you got to deal with the toil. If you don't want the toil, nobody's mad. We're not mad at anybody. It's just that we cannot have you blocking the way. So we're going to love on you, but we're going to remove you from those positions because we need people who are 100% in alignment with the vision. Now notice what I'm saying. I don't want them just to be talking about this is a good idea. I'm sick and tired of people talking about good ideas. I want them to be 100% in alignment with the vision, mission, and strategic objectives of this ministry because that's the only way we can move forward as a unit. This is war. We're at war. And we've got to recognize that the enemy has his sights on the family and the families between the crosshairs. And we got to get very serious about this battle. So, it's going to cause us to painfully have to move some people and to refreshingly decommission some. We're excited, however, about where we are and where we're headed by God's grace. We love and we're in love with all FLIF members and the family. So when you read that, you're going to find out that attached to it is a draft of the 2019 plan, of which I do not plan to read all of it at this setting, but I do want to share a couple of things with you because we need you to be thinking about it and planning as you go back to your respective locations. So all of the front end material, which is in draft form, will be revised. But I want you to understand that this year, we're talking about developing generational leaders. Developing generational leaders. We talked this 2018 about preparing generational fathers. Now we want to move to the next stage, which is really the fathers moving on to reproduce themselves. Developing generational leaders. That's where we headed for 2019. I've been in consultation before God, matter of fact, to the point sometimes of getting no sleep and having some health challenges, but only to realize that God was making absolutely certain that this was stamped into my being, and so it is. We're talking about developing generational leaders. What are we talking about? Generational leaders. So, with that in regard, the goals which are found on page 12 of this graph read like this. Number one, we want a resource, an interactive online resource center. We started it. We got some things. Thank God for Evangelist Addison, who is our web master and who has worked tirelessly and sometimes at ridiculous hours of the night in putting those things in place and making certain that they are user-friendly. So we put on some interactive areas, but they've not been taken advantage of. And what that means to me is that we still have to figure a way to make it attractive. It's sort of like saying, we got a good thing here if you just knock, but we don't show them where to knock. So we haven't figured it out yet, obviously, but we're going to be working on it this year so that it becomes highly interactive. Then we want to resource it. Goal 2, 2019 Developing Generational Leaders Conference in Austin in 05, 06, 07, and 08 of November 2019. But I really want to think about moving it higher up in the year, maybe in June. So I want you to think about that and give me some serious feedback on it. And remember, we don't wait a long time. So if you're going to give feedback, I want you to be prayerful about it think about if it conflicts with any major activity you have going on in that April, May, June, July time frame, preferably June, so that we don't conflict with something that you're doing that's in a major area. Now, everybody's doing something all the time, but I meant where you have one of your major productions. Goal 3, 2019 Developing Generational Leaders Conference in Ghana, Liberia, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone in the February-March time frame. We will try to do perhaps 2 countries at a time, maybe even all 4 countries at one time if we can get all of the players to work together. We got good players in those areas because in Liberia we have Bishop Jan J. Swin, Dr. Swin. In Sierra Leone we have Bishop Wonders Johnson. In Nigeria we have Bishop Mbimbo, and we have yet to name the person in Ghana. Goal 4, plan, get this now, plan, not implement, but plan the 2020 FLIF convocation. This will be the first convocation in about, what, 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere thereabout. And it's going to be coming up on that time. And there we bring everybody, and we make it a family affair, and we bring top-level people in to do what needs to be done. And then when you go back to your respective churches, you bless your communities, and you bless your fellowships. Goal number 5, recruit and train 10 new bishopric candidates. Because if we're moving people out, we got to have somebody in the pipeline to move up and to move in. So we will be recruiting and training 10 new bishopric candidates and more if it's appropriate. And then 6, we really want to establish a monthly conference call. We've been trying to do this for the last X years. Just where we can get on and stay in touch with the leadership on a regular basis. It will not be a long time, but that's the objective. So I want you to be prayerful about this as you read through it. Then I want to share with you that it's my vision that we will now expand the use and the utilization of our Bible college, which is headed up here by Dr. Forney, who has labored almost single-handedly in Houston, trying to make certain that there was breath in this body. And I know I didn't prepare you for this, but I'd like you to come up, if you will, and just give us an overview of where we're trying to go and what you see as some of the vision that we've talked about. Please.
Amen. Amen. Bless God, saints. We've had a vision in Family Lives that I caught. So just kind of bringing everybody up to speed, because everybody, some of us have no idea. But I caught a vision early on prior to Bishop Robert Jefferson passing, and that was a desire of our Archbishop to have an avenue for education for those who were plugged into the fellowship. And so I grabbed that from my father, who was Robert, because Jefferson, because he was let me just say, effective enough to communicate in such a way that this needed to be a staple. Education needed to be a staple, and it was a desired staple. So we set out to do a school prior to him passing, and when he passed, of course, the whole structure kind of collapsed. It was not a year or so later I realized that the component was still needed in the fellowship. And so we rose to meet the need. And anytime that there's a need, leadership in you says, rise up and meet the need. Don't sit around waiting for something or someone, but you need to rise up and meet the need. So I felt like that assignment was coming down through my spiritual covering lineage. I wish I had somebody. And so I caught the mantle that was left. I'm The school has since 13 has really done leaps and bounds. She has never seen a year of a dip in enrollment. Every year was an add. Every year was an add. This where we are now, this semester, come this June, we'll graduate 13 doctors. We'll graduate 6 in the master's program. There's another 6 in the bachelor's program, and the smallest class is the associates on this semester. But however, we're training now. So here's where we now got this Achilles heel, and we're kind of rocking back and forth because I then was led because God has shifted some understanding and watch this and strengthened some connections.
All right.
And as I moved forward, I had to revisit the vision of the school and its purpose.
All right.
Sometimes we lose sight of the purpose. I'm not trying to shout at it, but I don't want you to miss where I am. You see that? And so just a little response is good for me. I just need to know you're hearing.
Yeah.
You see that? Okay, so there was a strengthening. God turned my eyes and dropped some scales off, and I started to see some things a little different because I had lost my way about the school, and it was not belonging to me. He originally dropped it in my spirit to be a blessing to Family Life International Fellowship. Hello? Okay, so as we moved forward in it, reconciliation came, forgiveness came, love, and the exchange of all that. So let's get past that. But what has happened at this point is God says, now put it where it belongs, and let me use it for the nation. So what we're now doing is seeking accreditation in Family Life International Fellowship name. That's where I'm seeking your praise. Right. And I'm petitioning you to have prayer over the school because we want the school to belong to Family Life International Fellowship. Right. And the way we do that is we get our proper accreditation with our stamp, our name, our curriculum, our way of, our morality. I wish I had somebody that we understand how important education, salvation, and liberation is. And education liberates. Education liberates. And you can run bondage out of the pulpit when you're ready to sit down in front of preachers who stand before the flock of God every Sunday, every Wednesday, or whatever it is. And not every day on the social set. But the truth is, there must be education even within the confines of the fellowship. And we're so, and watch this, and we have so much and we overflow that we're going to allow others just to get it because we're just generous. You see that? Because we're just generous. And so Archbishop has expressed to me that he wants this to be such a blessing that we here, who sometimes we get sidetracked and distracted about the paper, the name, the title. You'll have some come to the school just for the paper. But there are some who have a heart to receive. And you don't make education hard to get, which liberates them. You see that? So what it is that we do here, when we talk numbers, there's a great portion of that being pushed over into our fellowship countries and planning schools and allowing tuitions to be paid because we've done so well here. So we begin to spread what it is that the wealth and the technology. We send them iPads and high-tech devices that they can tap into us on a regular, that we're not so far away because we're here. But the school is really soliciting your prayers. Because number one, we must grab accreditation that our stamp, our transcripts. Everything has family life on it. And so that's what I asked you. We look now, this is the other component that's always kind of the elephant in the room, and that is the online presence. Okay, so just this week, since I've been here, my wife has been all in my grill because we're with a platform out of Florida for our web that hosts us on the web, and they do have a stencil for classroom interaction. However, it's so Greek that it's crazy for me to try to figure out, and I'm quite green when it comes to tech. I'm learning though. But so we never could access it, and almost got kind of backed up from it. But as my wife has been plugging into us here, and she's picked up on this Google Classroom, she's now saying, "What is that? I need to research what Google Classroom is." And so it just depending on what our outcome is, and if that's workable, I do see online presence really soon, much sooner than I thought at this pace, much sooner than I thought. Because if we can have access to that and make that available to those who are abroad, those who are not in town or able to come into the classroom setting, that is where we want to be of great service to the fellowship first, and we can grow from there. Amen. Amen. Any questions? Anything? Anybody? Any comments? Because I just want us to value the education of the Bible. Paul was quite right. He said, if you're going to be approved, I wish I had it. You got to study. if you don't get approved, brother, you're going to have to put your nose in the scene sometime and pull some stuff up out of there. Y'all see that? Yeah. Amen. Anybody, anything? Bless God. Thank you, Uncle.
So, get this now. We also established the Family Life International Bible Institute, which is currently up and running in at least 2 countries. One is way advanced, and that you heard about some of the graduates of which Pastor Joseph is a product of. And I've been to at least 1 or maybe 2 of their graduations. The other is getting off the ground in Liberia, primarily in Monrovia. Yes. And there's talk about it happening in Nigeria, but we got to talk to them about their way versus our way. But what I'm foreseeing is that as we begin to build the overall education component of Family Life International, that we're able to integrate these two so that we have one ship with multiple components. And that one ship then takes advantage of the flagship, which is currently the Bible College, that we've not worked as high on the ladder as necessary. I want Bishop A.T. to become instrumental in helping to get the branding, so that you can see the same thing all the time about what we do. So we got to work closer with that. Now, I'm just about done with this portion. We want to host, as I mentioned before, a 2020 FLIF convocation in 2020. The month is yet to be determined. The work that is going on in Sierra Leone, the agricultural work that's going on, I was there when we first got the bakery rolling, and we invested heavily in getting the bakery up. We were looking at producing soap because they need revenue stream. Now we need revenue stream, but our need for revenue stream, as great as we may think they are, the reality is that we live in luxury compared to some of our brothers and sisters in other parts of the world. So you got to keep it in perspective. So that bakery is designed to bring forth revenue streams. That's what he was talking about. I think he called it bakery, but it's the bakery. That's what he was talking about, bakery. And the soap production will eventually follow, and then there are other methods, but the main focus is in the agriculture, where they're planting and harvesting. We've had that as one of our long-range plans for a while. We're doing it there, and the next place that it is beginning to come out of the ground is Liberia. So we know that that's going to happen. What we haven't figured out yet is how to produce it internationally, because there are certain tariffs, certain fees associated with trying to do things intercontinental that are extremely prohibited. It might be that we have to do it among countries other than the U.S. initially. But eventually you need to do it in the U.S. because the U.S. is one of the more lucrative markets. So we haven't figured that out. We've got to find somebody in the Congress who can see this vision and understand it, and then who's willing to help us champion it. God will provide that person for us. It's going to take more than someone at the state level. It's going to require that we have someone at the Congress level. So if God gives me grace and I'm able to live through 2019 plus, then it's my intention to dwell heavily on trying to establish the right protocol nationally so that we can make this happen. We ought to have something happening in Honduras. We should have something happening in Mexico. We should have something happening in Venezuela, so that the people there don't have to be rushing this way. Instead, we're looking to them to help build family in those areas. Africa, all of Africa. When I was in South Africa, I thought it was interesting that when you're in the major city, I don't even remember where we flew into now, but whatever that major city is, it's like going into New York. But the moment you drive out of there, going towards Soweto or Mali or some of the other areas, you immediately know that you're in Africa. So we need our people who are in these areas to know that the family is a priority, and the family is investing its gifts, skills, talent, and toil in producing to ensure that the family is healthy. So in our second mid-range goal, it's a cooperative organic produce market. We see it in our vision. It's in the spiritual realm. We've not yet been able to bring it into the physical, but I'm trusting God for that. We want to establish 50 local area fellowships by the end of year 2020. That is doable. We've talked in the past about resourcing and establishing God's parenting structure so that we can get, and we don't hate anybody. So we're not hating on people who believe that their sex is based on what they feel like. We're not hating on those people. We're going to love them. We're just not going to join them. We're going to love them. And we're going to try to beckon them to come and do it God's way. But in the meantime, we have to make certain that the parents that are struggling, trying to get it right, have resources to help support them, because they're going to have children who are being influenced by this alien doctrine. So I just know that that is something that we're looking at doing. We've got to have that done according to what I'm thinking and seeing sometimes in 2019. We got to be bold in truth, and we got to be gentle and not hostile as it relates to dealing with people who have made choices based on the current programming of society. And then there's more for 2013. For 2030, but we'll talk about that another time. Finally, I want to give you this template for the Developing Generational Leadership Conferences, and the template is very simple. We want to talk about what it is, then we need to identify the where. We want to have at least 5 of them in the U.S., maybe even 10, but definitely at least 5. This year we had 1, 2, 3, 4. We had 4 generational fatherhood conferences in America. We got 50 states in America. In theory, we should have one in every state. And we start talking about the major population centers, we can get up to maybe over 250 major population centers as it relates to people of color first, and then everybody else. So we're not trying to leave anybody out. But we got to get very serious about the people of color. People of color are anybody who's non-white. And if you don't believe that, you listen to some of the legislation and some of the rhetoric that comes out of D.C., and they have no problem at all in making sure you know where you stay, where you live. They have no problem with that. And they make no apologies for it. And we're okay with that. Let me just tell you up front, I'm all right with that. You don't have to invite me to your house to eat. But don't try to prevent me from feeding my family. Right. So that's what we got to get this thing about the developing generation of leaders. We want this thing to be interactive, and it'll be through guided discovery. We're going to use the internet more for this, because sometimes we can do these things in webinars. We've not done that. We've not done that in the last ever, actually. So this year we're going to try our best to make some of that happen. And then, of course, the rest will be history as we go forward. I'm done with that portion. The rest of this plan you can look at. Remember, it is a draft, and so it's going to change drastically. The part that I just mentioned to you will not change drastically, but everything else that packages this will change drastically. Any thoughts, questions, discussions? That's my other brother just walked in. That's Brother Lester.
Oh my goodness.
He just shook Brother Larry's hand.
Oh my goodness. LA Connect.
Yeah, LA Connect. Any thoughts? Yes, sir.
On the conferences that you do outside, what kind of format is that?
No, that's great. That's the right question. So thank you for that. I skipped over it because I thought it might bore, but thank you for that. This is the way it works. We arrive, let's say, in Freetown on Tuesday. The teaching starts the next morning at 9 a.m. and it goes from 9 a.m. to 1. It's interactive, very similar to the way I did the class yesterday. Present, interact, present, interact, present, interact. And that's the format. And it's very effective. It was effective yesterday, but it's even more effective, would you say, than what we saw, because there we're doing it for the full session. Our presenters this week did a fantastic job, but it was not as interactive as I hope it would be, because I don't think they understood. Yeah, I don't think they did. Even though we said it, you got to at least understand it. So then we come back, so that's when the teaching happens. Then on that evening, there's preaching. So from 6 to 8, or 7 to 9, there's preaching on that night, Wednesday night. Then on Thursday morning, there's teaching, 9 a.m. to 1. Then we break again, come back at 6, and there's preaching. And then on Friday, we have an overall area or conference FLIF meeting to address any FLIF questions or issues, or maybe we're going to consecrate. But whatever the case is, that's when we will do that. And then, of course, we depart on that Sunday. That's a typical template.
So 3 days is necessary.
3 days is, well, now let's just say we're going to do it in Houston.
Right.
All right. And we did one in Houston last year. And we did it for 1 day. Is that right? Yeah, 1 day. So, but it was an extended day. We started, we broke for lunch, we went on, then we did a little street mission work, and then we left. So it can be done. If you can get people who will commit to staying for the full game and not leaving it before the 2-minute warning, it'll work. It works best, however, if it is done with a day and a half. So I'm going to promote this year, by God's grace, that we do it for a day and a half in the States. Because what that would do, it allows us to do that evening revival type. And then the next morning we can do some of the FLIF business type things. And then we go. See, I get. Matter of fact, when we did it, to show you what I'm saying, when we went to Atlanta, which was a totally different makeup, and it was new to me, actually. I did not change my modus, my MO, but I did see how an engagement was obviously best for that area at the time. We did 2 nights, was it 2 nights? Yes. 2 nights. 2 nights, and we took advantage of people getting off work to come. That might be a format that meets the need of a particular area. I don't know. But I did a lot of observations and made myself quite a few notes about what I would do different if we would do it again in Atlanta. Yes, sir.
Yes. I have a recommendation.
Please.
This meeting is very interesting for the church, for the organization.
Yes, sir.
I think the next one, maybe the pastor and leaders, bishop, can come with the right hand, the people closer in the ministry with them to get more information, more experience, to be the transferring the educate, making fathers and put the people in this experience, this information, this really very interesting meeting.
Thank you very much, Pastor. That's Pastor Diogenes, and he actually moved here from Venezuela and pastors a church here. Yes, we're going to encourage pastors to bring their team so that their team will get what they're getting and thereby take it back to their setting. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Any other thoughts? Well, if not, please take this with you as we consider bringing to a close this session. This has been a very important milestone in what we do. Jesus is the Lord of the church. Jesus mediates his rule through the Holy Spirit. And his rule is mediated through the Holy Spirit, who fills Christ-centered, family-focused leaders within the church. And those leaders that the Lord appoints are generational leaders. I'm not going to get into all of the discussions, but we might even do a session online about what a generational leader looks like, what it is, and what they do, so that everybody comes up to speed. And we probably can touch a lot more people at such a setting. What I'm asking you to do is to take some time and read through this draft. And since many of us have worked together for some time, we know I've waited a long time. So read through it and get your comments in, so that the next draft that comes out is probably going to be no more than a week away. When that draft comes out, it will reflect your thoughts. Now, by the time I get to the 3rd or 4th draft, whatever comments you have, they'll have to wait till the next year. So just kind of give you a timeline of how that thing works, okay? So that we're not fooling ourselves. In finding these leaders to bring new bishops on board, it's going to require that they go through the vetting process. I've already sent to one individual a vetting list, which my executive council have seen, and he's already responded, and the response looks good, unless I get some input from some of the other leaders. And we will be going into phase 4, I believe, where certain information will come forward. There are certain people, however, we're not going to ever, by the grace of God, open our doors to. These are the people who are looking for titles. They're looking for credentials that will be self-aggrandizing. Those individuals will do more harm to the family than good. I don't mean that God cannot use a Pharaoh to bless Israel, because we know he can do that. But Pharaoh did not come in under the guise of being a friend to Israel. Pharaoh was always Pharaoh. So when God blesses his people through a Pharaoh, the Pharaoh did not come in through his people in order to get to be elected as Pharaoh. So I feel like I'm on pretty good ground biblically to say that if a person is looking for a credentials meal, they got hundreds of people who call themselves fellowships and communions and reformations over this globe. They can go to any of those because we're not mad with anybody. We're not in competition with anybody. It's just that they can't park here. They can't park in this place because we want our credibility to become a standard that is looked up to as opposed to looked down at. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Am I communicating? Yeah, that's important. Those of you who've been through the process, you know the toil involved. And so why would we want to bring it any less than that in order that we might bring people on board? Doesn't make sense. So we're going to stay focused and keep the standard high so that the people that we get, and even with that, we've got people in who have other agendas. Well, we also got to be brave enough spiritually to walk in and say, well, okay, this marriage didn't work, so we're filing for a divorce or an annulment. Because if you didn't produce no babies, then we're going to see if we can get it annulled. And I might be being over technical now, but I think you get the point. We know something. We all know something. And it's okay. We're not angry. We just got to move. All right? We've not been able to meet one of our key desires, and that is that we can help support some of our leaders in other countries who don't even have a tenth of what we're able to do here. So I'm really going to ask you, as the bishops and pastors, to get very serious about your investment in the fellowship. As you know, we don't have paid staff. I don't get paid anything from the fellowship, nor does anyone else, because that's not why we're in here for that. But if you don't invest in this vision, mission, and objectives, then we can never get to the point that God has assigned us to get to, and that is that we're becoming a help for those ministries that are relying upon Family Life International Fellowship to help them raise the standard of the family, so that out of the family, one day they'll be able to have people who can become leaders of their countries, and then start to reduce some of this foolishness that exists right now, even internationally, but among countries. I know it's a long-range vision, but I have to tell you, God is a long-range thinker. So we can't be any less than that. See, Jesus was a long-range plan. And this is not about preaching, but I just want you to appreciate that when God said to Eve and Adam in the 3rd chapter that, look, I'm going to send somebody who's going to whip your behind. Well, now he didn't say that. He said, you know, there'll be a head bruising and
a butt kick.
Yes, right. So I might be being a bit current in my commentary. But in effect, he said, look, I know what you're doing, but this moment seed will one day kick your behind. And bingo, I can hear the Lord in the background saying, send me, I'll go. And 42 plus generations later, because it's more than 42, you know, 42 plus generations later, he shows up and says, I'm here. And you know what he said? I've come to destroy the works of the devil.
Yeah.
He was the one. That's what he said. He said, look, I've come to destroy the works of the devil. So he was the one that was talking about. I used to hear some of my Muslim brothers saying the Mahdi. I said, well, what? I mean, what? And I just realized in the last 18 months or so that people get confused with titles. But if God was talking about the Messiah, then if you want to call a Messiah something else, as long as what you mean is that it's a Messiah, then I will fight with you. I'm not going to be arguing with you about that. You know, so in your cultural program, you might see a thing one way, but you're looking at the same picture. No problem. So when he came, he said, I come to destroy the works of the devil. And not only am I going to destroy the works of the devil, I'm going to also restore what my original plan was for mankind. Because if any man being in Christ, in me, he is a new creation. So I'm going to restore what the enemy tried to tear down. So we got to see ourselves as being part of it. And look how he did it. He did it by choosing a family. You remember, he started off with the family, which the enemy attacked. Then if you look carefully, in that same Genesis book, he appointed a family.
Yeah, he did.
See, when he pulled Abram up, that was about family.
Yeah.
So without Abram come, the family that would then produce the Messiah through the generations.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they went through some rough roads and went through a couple of things, but God is able to take all things. The Word of God says that look. God is able to make all things work together for the good.
Yeah.
He able to do that. So he did that. So all I'm saying to you is that we are part of that plan. This is our season. Well, I don't know what the time frame is, but we're part of that plan. And I believe it is for such a time as this that God has assigned us this responsibility, and you've got to get very serious about it. And I'm not trying to supersede or override anything you have in your mind about what's best and what you need to be doing. All I'm saying is that if you can't see this is what you need to be doing, you need to get out and go do what you need to be doing. But this is what we need to be doing. This is where we are. This is what God has laid before us, and it is clear. Family is God's priority, and if you don't believe it, look and see what he created first. The family is Satan's priority. If you don't believe it, look and see what he attacked first. The family then become the church's priority because it is the body of Christ, and God chose a family for his son to be born through.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's real stuff here. So you can't walk in, you gotta walk in here with some AR-15. Biblically speaking. Biblically speaking. You know, and be prepared to do battle. And you can't be backing up. We gotta be charging forward. So anyway, I probably went beyond where I planned to go, but I just want you to appreciate how important it is that we don't get sidetracked. Anybody want to ask me any question, which is going to close us out? Read the document, please. Any questions, any thoughts? Anybody want to share anything? Yes, sir.
Now, as you were given this next year's theme, developing generational leaders.
Yes.
I was considering the connect from our theme for next year.
Yes, sir.
And said these are the type of things, if you're not, let me say, disciplined enough, conscious enough to digest what's before you, then this is how we begin to be weak around the table. Because nobody's being just plugged in. And look, I'm guilty of that, so that's not me separating myself from anybody else. But just considering what God has given us for going into this new season, which was a format that had a thematic silhouette, if you will, of marriage behind it. Meaning it didn't matter where it was that I was in the 66, I could always have a letter to marriage, being church, Christ and the church. Now, of course, you can't have family without marriage. So when we're talking about the leadership, that's something personal. and we may be wrong with passing the room. However, leadership is so lacking now that those who are leading don't know that they're leading, and don't even know that they are to be leading. So leading is kind of a big question mark in church now, because I'm not sure what I was supposed to be doing. Is normally kind of the feedback. But for this to come out as a leadership kind of an aim or objective to do leadership, anywhere any of us decide we want to get in or plug in, the leadership component is always there. It's always there. And oftentimes, you in the cross training, when you got, the folk on the door learning exactly what is happening with the praise team and the dynamic that they're working in. So the cross training leadership is kind of where I would just commenting and just kind of dropping the seed, if you will, that if we become proficient because of an empathetic feel for one another, then I'll learn you and be able to support you that much more because I know what you do and I take an interest to support you so much that I would kind of step into your shoes to understand your plight, if you will. But leaders need that because this format is not so pleasant. We can't go to stuff like this all the time. That's right. And if we're going to disciple well, remember we got to turn and give it to the next. If we're going to disciple well, I got to know how it all works together. Because we're not starting with something in hand, Archbishop. We trying to figure it out all over again.
Listen, man, you got my full attention. Let me tell you what happened when you started talking. That's why I just kind of shut and started focusing. Because the one thing that has not been addressed ever in this fellowship, which has always been under my skin, but the Lord had never given me a platform to make a statement about it until you open your mouth. As colored people, we have an issue of trying to be separate and different. And so, if family life, FLIF, or whatever the new location is going to be, is going its own way with, this is our theme for the year. And family life in Atlanta or Jonesboro is going their own way. This is our theme for the year. And family life in DeSoto is going their own way. And family life in St. Marcos is going its own way. You got all these folk with these different things. And I had to come to, as you were talking, though, I just kind of pulled the scales from my eyes. We're too busy magnifying ourselves. Look. This is your thing.
This is.
Yes, but I had not had a platform until you open your mouth. It's almost as if scales begin to drop. This is what I probably should have been saying this and didn't even know it. Because I ain't scared of nothing, so obviously I just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Look, every church and family life international fellowship ought to be focused on this theme. Developing generational leaders. Now, whether you know it or not, the reason you're not focused on the theme is because you're not a generational leader yourself. And if you understood what generational leadership could do, it would become the theme for the church. No, that's just taking me to a whole nother point. What you call it anything I got written down. That's a whole new point here. Now, we're not trying to, it's not force majeure. We're not saying you gotta do this. No, that's the way it works. But we're gonna know who's on board based on their willingness to embrace the theme.
Yes.
It parallels when you're saying, let Bishop do the branding.
I understand, but it just took me a minute to see it. I did not see it, son. I mean, you opened my door. Yes.
And I don't know what to do because I want to be a supporter. You see how they go?
You messed this whole thing up. You got me. Why? Yes. You see, how can we talk about a we when it's always about a me?
Yes.
Me ain't we.
Yes.
See, we is where the power is.
Yes, sir.
Me is weak. But when you you put that W in front of the E, you've just now said, and look, you can think it's just me by myself, but I'm deep.
All right. Yeah. Yes, sir. All right. We need
Single focus. Single focus. What would happen if we had this conversation last year when we talked about preparing generational fathers? So yes. I don't know if I missed anything as you said because I was in a trance. So let's start thinking about what that looks like. We got to get the word out to all the churches associated with us, so they know this is where we're headed.
And it's time you do this year, right about now.
That's right. So we get that word out, so it's very clear. This is where we're headed. And everybody on board, this is where we're headed. So it becomes 8 weeks. Yes. Well,
now, the conferences have become part of it. It's the regular dialogue. You're walking into what's already coming over to a place. Absolutely. It's something new that just comes out of nowhere.
let me give you an example. Yes, sir. Pastor.
I mean, I just think it's being on one accord, because for me, so I have a pamphlet, right? So I'm studying the pamphlet, I'm meditating on the word, and as I'm ministering across the pulpit, restoration is walking in that. And so what happened is like a transference, because what's happening from the Archbishop, the vision that God gave you, he's not going to give you a separate vision aside from the vision that he gave you if we're all supposed to be on one accord. So therefore, the people that I serve are also being able to walk in that authority under that anointing. And so what happens is that you begin to affect, you know, just something small like what Bishop AT, I might have the wrong people on the door. You know, just something as small as that.
You
can
got
change the whole dynamic
yeah.
of your church. I mean, so I was just blessed by that, and I just wanted to speak on it.
Well, look. Check this out. So we had a generational, one of our last generational fathers conference was in Milwaukee. Was that right? That's the last one, right? The last one we had. We may do something else before the years out, but that was the last one we had. So we put together this plan, right? And I'm going to facilitate it primarily. And but then I couldn't go. So I had to send the information. Say, look, I can't come. Oh, well, you got to be. No, I got to do nothing but live it. So I can't go. So here's what I want you to do. Follow this format. This format works. Use this material. This material works. This is focused on what we're trying to do. Use this. Do not invent anything. You don't have any pride of authorship issues. Use this material. So I said, I need to be able to tap in so I can see what y'all are doing and hear what you're doing, and then send me some type of a status every day. So when I couldn't tap in, I said, wait, something's going on. Why? So I called. I said, well, look, how you doing over there? Archbishop, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to us. We blah, and none of men want to meet. I said, whoa, this ain't no men's meeting. We're not trying to start no brotherhood ministry. We're trying to prepare generational fathers. The reason why they're doing that is because they're boys and not men. Boys play. Y'all want to become joined together so you can have fun. This ain't about no fun. This is war. So go back and tell them no. So look, this happened. This is really what happened. So then the next thing, I get the next talk maybe a week or so afterwards. Say, well, we're gonna have a part 2. There ain't no part 2. You can repeat this all year if you want, but there ain't no part 2. You got to master part 1. So then the communications kind of shut down. So what that told me is that they'd gone off course. See? Well, I got to get needed somebody who's going to be on course. I need a person who's committed to this.
That's right.
And we'll be searching for that person. So, you just open the whole door of stuff. Whole door of stuff. Well, I'm done. This is my part of the conversation. Part of the statement. We have some people that we will recognize, and you'll see it online, who've done an outstanding job. First of all, we have our host team, which was led by Bishop Maurice Humans, Bishop Richard Lands, and Bishop Christopher Lands. They've done an outstanding job. Then we have our administrative and operations team, which have done an outstanding job. These are individual achievements because they were dealing with two separate areas. But in the administrative side, Evangelist Addison, who was almost single-handedly did all of the communications with everybody, particularly ex-USA, trying to work through their difficulties and working to support their efforts for visas. And unfortunately, we didn't get very many of them because our U.S. government has been Trumpanized. Yeah. And we're going to work on that this year since we now have a new house. And but she was very diligent in making certain that the communications were going forward and diligent in getting the information back and keeping me informed. So, and she's here, Evangelist Addison. Dr. Thomas was instrumental in dealing with the logistics, air flights, hotels, and the things that went around getting people from point A to point B and communicating it. Great job. She's not here now, but she was here earlier and you heard her talking about it. But we are very pleased that she has made the contribution, and she too will be so awarded. Amen. And there are others who have been involved in some of your own ministries in doing things that help make this a success, which may not be visible to me at this time. So I will be looking for your input on that. The last person I'm going to mention here is the one who has put forth the effort, and you saw all the information earlier on that brand, on that logo, or on that imagery of the grandfather, the father, and then the son. And the son is really a future father. So we can see that thing being a non-ending or endless cycle happening here. And that is, of course, our Vice Presider, Bishop A.T. Lands. He and his partner work hand in hand and hip to hip, rib to rib, and that is Bishop Rosemary Lands. And then we had an excellent presentation document that was put forth by Dr. Forney, Bishop Dr. Forney, on the Bible College. We've already given one out, and we missed the opportunity, but I will send it to the other one. Do you have any soft copy?
I have.
Do you have that document?
Yeah, I do. And I'm going to send it to
please. That works. Yes. And we'll get that to a couple of other people that we will need to either give us supporting letters for accreditation or help us with some of the accreditation discussion. You already on the track, but we need to talk about who else we can get to come together with us. And that is Bishop Dr. Forney. And of course, we're thankful. You need to know that the report for Liberia, which is one of our most aggressive conferences, they're growing by leaps and bounds, is in. But we just didn't have anybody to make the report. So Dr. Jan J. Swin, who after she cried for days upon days for not being able to be here, didn't let that stop her from sending a report in. This will be sent to you as part of the proceedings from this conference. That's Bishop Dr. Jan J. Swin. And of course, you heard the report from Sierra Leone, which was sent by Bishop Raymond Wonders Johnson, who has been on the forefront, actually, in West Africa of setting things up and getting structure. And the structure is very solid, very sound. Both Bishop Chris and I have spent time there. Bishop Richard, we've all spent time there, so we're talking about what we've seen for ourselves. They are committed to what we're doing, and what we're doing is what they're doing. So they're committed to what they're doing, because what they're doing is also what we're doing. And the report that came forth, we have that in soft copy, I believe, right? Good. So it will also come out as a part of the proceedings from this retreat. Bishop Raymond Wonders Johnson. And we thank God that his representative was here. He's really the director of protocol for the Family Life International Fellowship Sierra Leone, and he serves also as our security when we're there, and that is Pastor Joseph. And I got to say, and he takes his job very, very serious, very serious. So I've seen some very interesting situations where he steps in. It took me a while to know that he was ex-military, so once I discovered that, I understood, you know, because he's part of that war they held there, you know. It became clear to me that this was a brother who was not afraid to step in and punch out if necessary. So we thank God for you, Pastor Joseph Sanko. I may have left someone out. If I did not do it intentionally, and please forgive me. We're glad we have additions. Pastor Diogenes, just recently, he and his family, his people, talked about becoming a part of family life and agreed to do so. So he was here, and he asked me for one thing. He says, Pastor, can you have a translator? And I said, sure, I've got just the people for it. So we thank God for you, Pastor Diogenes, for being a newcomer in the operation. We welcome you. And then we thank God for my translators, and that is our brothers, pastors, who have worked diligently out in a desert. They live in a desert called Rosek. It is a desert out there. They got a lot of hogs, though. A lot of wild hogs out there. Wild hogs can't be converted to sausage. But that is Brother Pedro and Sister Courtney Hernandez. Thank you so much. You've done a magnificent job. We've heard you translating, and we know that the message was going through. Thank you so much. So that's all, folks. Any word before we leave? Yes, sir.
Real quick, please. I felt like James. Please do your evaluations. It's going to really help us. This was, like I said, a very unique bishop retreat. Each one always goes higher. Please, if you're still having problems getting on to the classroom or getting to the evaluation, please see me. I'm looking at who's logged on and not, so I'm going to be seeing you. So let's see each other so we can get that. We just want, it's important that we inspect what we expect, lest we have a good time and leave and nothing else transpires. So please do the evaluations and be brutally honest, but the input really helps us going forward. And also on that new classroom, the presentations that were given, particularly the soft copy, is all also available there. So you can go back, and the videos are also captured there as well as on YouTube. But you can go right there and get a one-stop shop.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thoughts? Been wonderful. Been a wonderful experience. And we appreciate you making it a priority. And this is how we're going to advance it. It's little pockets like this that help us to move the vision forward. So, thank y'all for coming. God bless you.
Amen. our celebrated birthday this Sunday.
Yeah. Amen.
And at the same time, we're celebrating our 34th year pastoral annual this Sunday. We're thankful for that, and we're thankful that we have quite a program that is planned. So if you're still in the area, then we invite you to come at 10 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, and until 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Amen. And you will be blessed. Amen. And pray that I see Sunday. I will be 74 years old if I see it. And I plan to see it.
Yeah.
By God's grace.
Yeah.
I do solicit prayer. I'm burying my grandfather in the morning in East Texas. So I just a traveling grace for the day.
Well, please accept our condolences. Yeah, and yes, we do pray for you and your family. Amen. Well, let's stand up together. Wait, I'm sorry.
Our cameraman.
Yes, we did not mention our camera people. Our technicians, our technologists. You know, whether you know it or not, Brother Isaiah has been one of our lead engineers for this whole conference. And along with him, he had his sidekick, Brother Hezekiah, who was running around making certain that everybody had their seat assigned. If you're able to give anything today, I know you've already given, but if you are, please do so. And the basket will be up here on the table. You don't have to make a big deal of it if you can do so. It will help underwrite some of our costs. Amen. I'm so glad Jesus lifted me. I'm so glad, oh, Jesus lifted me. Oh, I'm so glad Jesus lifted me. Saying glory, hallelujah. Jesus lifted me. When I was in trouble, Jesus lifted me. You ought to say, when I was in trouble. Do you remember when Jesus lifted me? Oh, when I was in trouble, Jesus lifted me. I'm singing glory, hallelujah. Jesus lifted me. I'm so glad that Jesus lifted me. I'm so glad, Lord, Jesus lifted me. Oh, I'm so glad, Lord, Jesus lifted me. Singing glory, hallelujah. Jesus lifted me. You know Satan had me bound. It was Jesus lifted me. What about you? Can you say? Oh, Jesus lifted me. Oh, Satan had me bound. Oh, Jesus lifted me. I'm singing glory, hallelujah. Jesus lifted me. Lord, we bless your name as we prepare now to close this phase of our discussion, that we might walk into the next phase. We thank you for grace and we thank you for mercy. For you have poured it out in abundance upon us. Thank you for that. You blessed us beyond our ability to measure, beyond our ability to comprehend or apprehend. We just know that you're the air that we need, the breath that we breathe. Thank you for that. We pray much for one another as we prepare to journey to our respective homes and domiciles. And we ask, Master, that you would visit upon our brother Forney with your grace and mercy in both his travel and the celebration of the life of his granddad.
Yes.
That in every instance they will be able to remember how good you've been in providing such a man in their lives.
Yes.
We bless you because we recognize that this is a time of rejoicing. And we do rejoice. And we find it difficult to talk about it in terms of rejoicing because we don't quite understand the other side. But you've made it clear that you've been there and you know all about it. And you told us to fear not. So we're going to stand on your promises, even though we don't understand it. We stand on it because we believe you. We believe you for your word. We believe you for your demonstration. We believe you for going into death's doorway, walking through it, and then coming back out of it and say, fear not. We bless your name. We bless your name. Thank you. Thank you for joy. Joy in the midst of sorrow. Thank you for joy, because joy in sorrow gives us hope. And that hope will manifest in a brighter tomorrow. Thank you for that. Thank you for lifting us above our circumstances. Thank you for lifting us above our conditions. Thank you for lifting us above our situations. Bless you. It's been a